Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Patrice, and in this video we will be discussing things I've read. And now let's get started. So this video will contain 4 books that I have picked up on one of my previous library hauls. The first book I'm going to talk about is Death of a Smuggler, and this book was written by MC Beaton and Rod Green, and this is a Hamish Macbeth mystery. It is a cozy mystery, and it is one of my favorite cozy mystery series to read. I really enjoy the characters, and this is a continuation in the series. MC Beaton, the original author, she passed away a couple of years ago, and her friend Rod Green is still continuing the series. He's using outlines that she and he worked on while she was sick to finish the series, and this looks like it is the second or third book that he has completed, and hopefully he will have more. This book here, the overview says a murder, a missing man, and the secret past of his newest constable are all that are standing in the way of Sergeant Hamish Macbeth settling in for a relaxing winter in his sleepy Scottish village. So this story starts out following a couple of teen girls. It looks like they have given money to some men to get to America, but it ends up being that they are actually being trafficked. And while they are escaping these men, someone, of course, gets murdered, because what's a cozy without a good murder? And this is how Hamish becomes involved in the story. So he's trying to track down these 2 teen girls. We also, in this story, we know right away who the bad guy is. So it's not um, like one of the cozies where you're trying to figure out who did it. Although the person who is murdered, they are trying to figure out, like what happened to this person and how it all ties into the story. But the murder is like not really a central part of the story. Now, one of the reasons why I like Hamish Macbeth cozies is because it's not your typical cozy. So these more these are more hard hitting than your normal cozies. Yes, this takes place in like a quiet village where everyone knows each other, but the cases that Hamish works on, like there's like lots of drugs involved, like sometimes prostitution, um, extortion, murder, of course, um, blackmail, just like all kinds of like grimy stuff that you would see in like a thriller or like on an episode of SVU. So that's why I like this one, just because it's like a little bit more gritty than a normal cozy. Now, one thing that I will say, like these newer books where the original author died, like you can tell that someone is completing the series for her. So it's not quite the same as some of the older books, but it is still a good series and I would recommend it. Overall, I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I'm going to talk about is Death by Dumpling, written by Vivien Chien, and this is another cozy mystery series. Now, this is the first book in the series, and I have not read any of her previous work, so I was very interested to pick this up and see if it is a series that I can look forward to reading more of. The overview says the last place Lana Lee thought she would end up is back at her family's restaurant. But after a brutal breakup and a dramatic workplace walkout, she figures that's her best option to put her life back together. The restaurant's property manager, Mr. Fang, turns up dead after a delivery of shrimp dumplings from Lana's restaurant. It's up to Lana to find out who's behind Fang's killer order before her own number is up. Now, because this is a new series, like I like to give a little bit of grace. The things I liked about this book are that there are enough red herrings to keep you interested. The things that I did not like so much is that I was not fond of the main character. I did not really like Lana. And usually in my cozy mysteries that are about food or contain restaurants and stuff, that they usually have recipes, and I usually look forward to that part because I actually do try some of the recipes and they actually end up being pretty good. So I was disappointed there were no recipes attached to this book. And the culprit to me was obvious from the start. I do not know if I want to continue this series. I think I will give book number 2 a try and see if this grows on me. The other thing that I did not like in this book is that the detective and Lana, looks like they were going to end up dating, and it's like they just met. So usually in cozies, like, you don't develop the romance, like right away. It's over like a couple of books or whatever. So I just thought that was weird that they met and immediately wanted to go out. But then again, maybe they just had that chemistry, but it did not come across in the story because I did not like them together. So overall, I am going to give this book a 3.5. And like I said, I will get book number 2 and see if I like that one. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Death at the Falls, written by Rosemary Simpson. And this, again, is a cozy mystery. And this is the 7th book in the series, which is not the newest book, but the 7th book is where I stopped reading in the series. So this is where I needed to continue. I think she may have like 9 or 10 books now in the series, but number 7 is where I am at. The overview. Newly minted lawyer Prudence McKenzie and ex-Pinkerton Jeffrey Hunter arrive in Niagara Falls on a mysterious assignment from Prudence's aunt, Lady Rotherton. Shortly after their arrival, the battered body of a local Tuscarora Indian falls out of a barrel that was supposed to contain a sheep going over the falls. Prudence and Jeffrey wonder if this murder is connected to their client, Rowan Adderley. Rowan is due to inherit a fortune, but her greedy grandmother wants to block her inheritance. As they dig deeper, their investigation is blocked at every turn by murder and attempted murder. Now, what I liked about this, I really enjoy this series, and I also like the setting, being in Niagara Falls, because I actually have taken a trip and I've gotten to see the falls for myself, and it is absolutely beautiful. If you have not gone, you definitely should go. I was on the US side, but I think the next time I will go, I will stay on the Canadian side of the falls. Let's see, anything else that I like? The mystery was interesting. It did keep you engaged. The only thing that I did not like really about this entry into the series, so Prudence was very annoying in this book. Um, I think the more I read, the more she annoys me. Um, it just seems like she is very privileged and she is not aware that she's very privileged. Like, she does a lot of complaining and has like a very short temper. Um, so I didn't enjoy that with this story. And I feel like this case left a lot of unanswered questions, and I didn't particularly like the way that the mystery was resolved. Um, so, like I said, it kept you guessing, but you could totally see where the story was going. Um, she kind of made the author kind of made it obvious where the story was going, and I didn't like where it went. Um, but will I continue the series? Yes, because I like it that much. Now, this one is going to get a 3.5 out of 5 stars from me as well. The last book that I'm going to talk about in this video is The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And this is a historical fiction slash fantasy magical realism. And I will read you the overview. Young Hiram Walker was born into bondage. When his mother was sold away, Hiram was robbed of all memory of her, but was gifted with a mysterious power. Years later, this same power saves his life and births an urgency to escape from the only home he's ever known. So begins an unexpected journey that enlists Hiram in the underground war between slavers and the enslaved. But Hiram's resolve to rescue the family he left behind endures. So I really liked this story. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because some of the reviews I saw were not too kind to the story, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to tell you why. So I was surprised that there was some fantasy magical realism happening in this story. So a lot of people complain because they were not expecting that, but since that's right up my alley, I enjoyed it. So if you don't like fantasy magical realism, you probably will not like this, but that was okay for me. Now, this was well written. Ta-Nehisi Coates, he usually writes really good books. I was a little hesitant because this is his first time writing like fiction, and usually he gives like essays for his work. So, but I thought he did a good job. Now, the things I did not care for, I still had some questions at the end of the story, and some parts of the story did drag at times. One of my questions was surrounding like Hiram's mom or whatever. So she was sold away when he was younger. So Hiram is the product of his mom and his slave master. So he is the product. I'm going to assume that his mom was raped by the slave master. And I guess I'm still trying to figure out like what happened to her. They didn't really say. So his dad or his slave owner sold his mom away, but we don't know if, like she's still alive or anything like that. So that was one question I had. And then some of the other characters, like there were some other like secondary plot points and they were not resolved at the end, and I still wanted to know what happened to some of the secondary characters in the book. But other than that, I really enjoyed this story. Um, so there was another book that I reviewed called Shallow Waters, and that author, she put like some real historical figures into the book, and I didn't think that worked in the story at all. But in this book, Harriet Tubman is like one of the main characters in the book, and she also has this power that Hiram has. So it's nice to see the historical character actually play a big role in the story and not just mention you know, as like a blow by, like like she actually has something to do with the story. And I definitely enjoyed like Ta-Nehisi's interpretation of the Underground Railroad. So Hiram gets, you know, caught up in helping with the Underground Railroad. So there's a, I guess, faction in Virginia, and then there's a faction in Maryland that Harriet Tubman is helping with. And just in looking at their different missions and how they see the Underground Railroad and what their overall goals are, that was interesting as well. So I gave this a very high score. This gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. I would definitely recommend, if you haven't read this book, to go out and get it, especially if you are into fantasy. That is the end of this book review video. Please let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and what you think. And if you would like to read them, let me know as well. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.